Hello everyone, how are you? Hope all of you are well. Today we'll start a new drama from William Shakespeare. This class is for M-2 and the course title is William Shakespeare. Today we'll start King Lear. Now look at the characters. Lear, King of Britain, Earl of Gloucester, Earl of Kent, later disguised as Caius. Fool, Lear's fool. Edgar, Gloucester's firstborn son. Edmund, Gloucester's illegitimate son. Goneril, Lear's eldest daughter. Regan, Lear's second daughter. Cordelia, Lear's youngest daughter. Duke of Albany, Goneril's husband. Duke of Cornwall, Regan's husband. Gentleman attends Cordelia. Oswald, Goneril's loyal steward. King of France, suitor and later husband to Cordelia. Duke of Burgundy, suitor to Cordelia. Old man, tenant of Gloucester. Quran, courtier. So these are the characters of the play. Now let's have discuss on the story of this play, King Lear. King Lear takes place in ancient Britain. The story begins with the Earl of Kent and the Earl of Gloucester discussing what is about to happen. Lear wants to relieve himself of the political burdens of kingship without ridding himself of the privileges, so he seeks to divide his kingdom among his 3 daughters and allow them to take responsibility. As they discuss this, Gloucester comments on his illegitimate son Edmund. He mocks the young man's mother and brags about the sport in Edmund's conception. This is the seed of a major subplot in the narrative regarding the relationship between Gloucester's 2 sons, the illegitimate and embittered Edmund and the faithful and legitimate Edgar. Lear enters with his 3 daughters, Goneril, Regan and Cordelia, and announces his plans. Lear plans on giving each daughter a share of the kingdom, but he has each daughter profess her love for him as a prerequisite, claiming the one who loves him best will receive the largest share. Goneril and Regan flatter Lear excessively despite the fact that neither truly loves him. Both are ambitious, cold-hearted women, more interested in power than anything else. Cordelia, however, who truly loves her father, refuses to fawn over him as the others do, stating the simple truth of her love for him without embellishment. Lear takes offense at her honesty and not only disinherits Cordelia but banishes her from his presence forever. Kent, Lear's most faithful servant, tries to intercede for Cordelia, but it is banished for his trouble. Though now without a dowry, Cordelia catches the eye of the King of France, who decides to marry her. Meanwhile, Edmund begins planning suspicions in Gloucester's mind about Edgar's integrity, claiming Edgar plans on murdering Gloucester. He has a forged letter allegedly from Edgar, which claims such. Gloucester finds the planted letter and grows angry. Edmund further manipulates matters by warning Edgar and offering to act as a go-between for him and Gloucester. Soon after giving up his hands to his 2 eldest daughters, Lear pays a visit to Goneril. She is offended by the behavior of Lear's retinue, however, and decides to cut back the number of nights he is allotted when staying with her. Lear is furious and tries to stay with Regan instead. He is accompanied by the disguised Earl of Kent, who remains faithful to his king despite having been wronged by him and the fool. Unfortunately for Lear, Goneril sends her sister a letter advising her to join forces with her against their father. Regan rebukes Lear and puts Kent in stocks. Unable to believe that his beloved daughters are betraying him, Lear slowly goes insane. He flees his daughters' houses to wander on a heath during a great thunderstorm, accompanied by his fool and by Kent, a loyal nobleman in disguise. Meanwhile, an elderly nobleman named Gloucester also experiences family problems. His illegitimate son Edmund tricks him into believing that his legitimate son Edgar is trying to kill him, fleeing the manhunt that his father has set for him. Edgar disguises himself as a crazy beggar and calls himself Poor Tom. Like Lear, he heads onto the heath. When the loyal Gloucester realizes that Lear's daughters have turned against their father, he decides to help Lear in spite of the danger. Regan and her husband Cornwall discover him helping Lear, accuse him of treason, blind him and turn him out to wander the countryside. He ends up being led by his disguised son Edgar toward the city of Dover, where Lear has also been brought. In Dover, a French army lands as part of an invasion led by Cordelia in an effort to save her father. Edmund apparently becomes romantically entangled with both Regan and Goneril, whose husband Albany is increasingly sympathetic to Lear's cause. Goneril and Edmund conspire to kill Albany. The despairing Gloucester tries to commit suicide, but Edgar saves him by pulling the strange trick of leading him off an imaginary cliff. Meanwhile, the English troops reach Dover and the English, led by Edmund, defeat the Cordelia-led French. Lear and Cordelia are captured. Off-stage, Goneril her plans toward commit suicide. The dying Edmund decides, though he admits it is against his own character, to try to save Lear and Cordelia. But his confession comes too late. Soon after, Albany sends men to countermand Edmund's order. Lear enters bearing Cordelia's corpse in his arms, having survived by killing the executioners. Kent appears and Lear now recognizes him. Albany urges Lear to resume his throne, but as with Gloucester, the trials Lear has been through have finally overwhelmed him, and he dies. Albany then asks Kent and Edgar to take charge of the throne. Kent declines, explaining that his master is calling him on a journey and he must follow. Finally, Albany, Edgar, and the elderly Kent are left to take care of the country under a cloud of sorrow and regret. Today, after this, thank you everyone.